Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geisinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Dallas Mavericks versus Oklahoma City Thunder.
With your lineup success as our top priority, this is where David and I will dive deep into our top three players that we like for this matchup. We'll break down the strategy behind our picks and we'll share the insights that will help put your lineups over the top and into the money. And if you're kind enough to just hit the like and subscribe buttons, we will be giving away two absolutely free lineups here at the end of the breakdown.
Yeah, so this is starting to kind of look like the Denver Minnesota series. Look, the young and up and coming team here. OKC is taking it to the Dallas Mavericks. With the vets and everything. So is it going to happen again? And coming up in Game 2, stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and give our three key player breakdowns each. So yeah, let's get on into it. So going over doing a quick rehash of Game 1, which didn't turn out. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. I did think, maybe the Thunder would pull it off, but I thought it would be a lot closer. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout. But looking at, Game 1, OKC did, like I said, win 117-95. The top fantasy scores for Dallas, surprisingly, Gafford, Doncic, and Irving. You called it on the Gafford call there. And then OKC, SGA, Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. I'm going to call him Jalen Williams. I'm going to call the other guy Jay Williams. So everybody knows. So yeah, getting into it. The last game's optimal lineup it looked nice. The guy hit, by himself 20K. So congrats, or guy or girl, whoever. SGA, MVP, Holmgren, star, Jalen Williams at the pro, Gafford at utility, and Aaron Wiggins at utility as well. So, if you actually look at it, it's not the most optimal you can do because you can obviously switch Gafford and Jalen Williams and it would have got a higher score. But, however, it was the optimal for that particular matchup. So, yeah, it's not too, doesn't look too crazy of a lineup. So, it's kind of weird how, he was the only one that was entered. So, good for him. And then here is the ownership for Game 1. Looking at it, Luka came in at the highest, about 60%. MVP, SGA was only 26. After Game 1, I can clearly see a few these projections that are going to be altered. I think Luka will go down, SGA will go up in the MVP slot. I think Gafford's utility will be divvied up now since he did jump up 2,500. He's not 8,500 no more. He is 11K play. So his overall about 40 or so percent will probably be divvied up between the star, pro, and some utility now. A few other ones, these lower, salary plays for OKC all seemed kind of viable. So I guarantee you their projections, their utility ownership will probably jump up significantly, just because there's about 4 of them that are below 7K or 7,500. So, yeah. I'm kind of curious to see, going into, Game 2, once it's over, looking at the ownership and seeing how, it kind of panned out. So, enough of what has happened. Let's get into what is to come here. Getting into it, OKC still at home. They are the favorites, coming in at a -5, 5-point favorites. The over-under went up a little bit from last game, at 218.5. Offensive rating, Oklahoma City Thunder looked amazing. 121.9 offensive rating. They were attacking Dallas, usually attacking on defense, but they were attacking them. They got to, SGA had 13 free throw attempts. He was 11 for 13. So, they were constantly attacking the Dallas team and getting to the foul line quite a bit. defensive rating. They held Dallas primarily because Luka was MIA. The pace was about the same for you know from the previous matchup, about 95.5, and then obviously it's inverse for Dallas because this is purely based on game one stats. Injuries, Luka Doncic's game time decision probable, and then I think that's it says probable, and I guarantee you there's no doubt in my mind that he will play. But if you happen to watch last game, he looked terrible, and I'm not just saying that, just to say it, but he looked bad. Like from just the overall hustle. Looking at him, he wasn't really hustling down the court. It does seem like that knee is bothering him more and more. Shooting wise, we'll get into if that his shooting percentages have dropped and everything. I still think he's obviously a good play because it is Luka, but at the same time, that knee is, I think, starting to get to him more significantly now. So. Keep that in mind when you're making your lineups. That he is still viable, but there is a caution tag with him. And then obviously Klebler is out for this series and going forward. So yeah, with that, you got anything to add here before we get into our key players?
Just that Luka does definitely seem hampered. He played 40 minutes. He shot 6 of 19. That's only 31% for his field goal percentage. He was only 1 of 8 from 3. That's 12.5%. He was 6 from 10 at the line, and had 5 turnovers and no fouls, and was the biggest plus minus, or was the worst plus minus on the whole team at minus 21 while being on the floor. So he's definitely not himself. Kyrie only took 14 shots. I guess we'll dive into it, but that's huge. The stats tell you how injured somebody is. It's very clear something's going on with Luka. Could he big boy a game out? Yes. But do I think that this is the game he needs to do it? I mean, personally, no. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's dive into it.
All right, key players here. Who do you got as your first? I'm assuming it's not Luka, based on what you just said.
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely not Luka for me. I'm going to jump on the SGA hype train. He's arguably one of the top in the runnings for MVP this season. His salary's gone up to $16K, so nothing too dramatic, but it did go up here a little bit, and rightfully so after the game that he just had. He was projected at 44 fantasy points and he hit 60, so that's awesome. His usage is at 33%, which is the top on the team. He's averaging 37 minutes a game. He's averaging 1.3 fantasy points per minute. He looks great. He's doing it all. They're at home. As much as I said in the last podcast, hey man, I think that, Dallas is going to take it. It's going to be about the vets and blah, blah, blah. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you don't know what you don't know. And these young guys look real hyped. They look like they're having a lot of fun out there. And, knowing that Luka's hurt, OKC looks primed to take advantage of that. So for me, SGA all the way, especially this, game 2 right here at home. They have a chance to win both home games going into Dallas. That would be huge for this team. So, yeah, I'll be over the field exposure-wise at MVP and star with SGA. I don't really see the need to put him at utility, or I'm sorry, at pro. Definitely won't have him at utility. So it's about getting my exposure to him at MVP and the star, and mixing it up. But I will be over the field with Mr. SGA. So that's who I got up first. Who's your first pick?
Yeah, well, good. I'm gonna stay right here. And SGA is also mine, coming in same, MVP star, 16K. You mentioned the minutes, so this is just based on last game. He got 36.9 minutes. Keeping in mind it was a blowout, so the final I think 5 minutes they pulled everybody, so he could potentially get even slightly more going forward usage. There he got 60. He was the highest fantasy scorer last game out of everybody at 60.3. He's projected 46.3 this matchup. Yeah, coming in, OKC basically won. Obviously they won the game, but they also beat Dallas in every major stat category. Rebounds, assists, turnovers, free throws. They literally came out and just played better. At all. Dallas had 15 turnovers. Shot 39% from the field, 34% from three-point range. So, and I think that's have to do. You can clearly see it not only in this game, but in the Minnesota game. It's the defense that OKC is putting on, especially the wing, the perimeter, is very intense. It's making it hard for Dallas to get going. Like you said, Luka, I think, was like 1 for 8 or 1 from 10, whatever he was from 3-point range. And there's obviously he's hurt too, but they're putting the defense out there, and obviously SGA is kind of young as he is, he's still kind of the leader of that team. There, and obviously his team is behind him. So game one he was like 27% MVP, 35% star, 6% pro. So I'm definitely gonna probably be going more like, I think he'll probably be about 35% now at the MVP. He'll probably jump up, but I'll probably end up doing my lineups probably. I'll be over the field like 55% of my lineups will be SGA going forward, because I just think the team's firing on all cylinders. He was 8 for 19 field goal attempts, 2 of 4 from the 3. Like I said, he got to the free throw line. He was 11 for 13 from free throws. Do I think that will happen again? I don't think as much. I think he does put himself and is pretty aggressive, so he will get to the free throw line. I just don't see another 13 free throw attempt game. But 29 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, almost a triple double there in the first game against Dallas. So if that's anything to predict what happened in this series, Dallas is in trouble. So I think if he didn't score 29 points, he dropped down to kind of where he's at, the mid 20 range, he'd still be the top scorer. So yeah, SGA for me, all the way, especially MVP. I'll eat the chalk for him at the MVP slot.
Nice. Yep. I fully agree with everything you said there. So sounds like we're both starting off on the same page. Who do you got here as your second main play?
I'm gonna go ahead. I'll keep it on the same side here. I'm gonna go to Mr. Jalen Williams coming in here. I do like him. At the star and the pro position. At the 13K salary, I think that's a good salary for him. I believe that's actually, he did slightly go up from last. No, I lied. He actually went down 1,000. So, which is even better. Coming in at 35.5, minutes from last game, usage 22.1. He got 33.5 fantasy points, and he's projected about 35.8 this matchup. So, yeah, I think he could have done slightly better. It looked like he got off to a slow start. He only had about 11 fantasy points in the first half, which he kind of looked like, I don't know, maybe he tripped or hurt his foot or something in the first half, but he toughed it out and then ended up getting about 22 fantasy points in the back end in the second half. So I think if he starts off on the right foot, he can even have those upper mid 40s game, low 40s, mid 40s for him. And at the 13K salary, that's great. Star, I think I'll have him quite a bit in. It looks like that's primarily where his ownership was. He was about 3% in the MVP, 18% star, and about 15% pro, only 1% utility. So I'll be mixing him up in the star and the pro position. I have a feeling he'll slightly go up since his salary went down. I think that's it helps with lineup construction for sure. So his stats wise, looked great. Could shoot, probably shoot a little bit better. 6 from 15 from the floor, 2 from 5 from 3 pointers, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So he had a good game, but I think he's primed for a great game. So that's my second core play. I'm gonna be focusing on here. What do you think about that before getting into your second?
Man, so it looks like we are on the same page for this game. That is also my second play. Um, I had noticed that salary go down, as you mentioned, and I was griping about some other salaries that have gone up. But with his going down 1,000, that's huge for roster construction. I'll primarily be having exposure to him at the star and then some in the pro. But I really am counting on a little bit more of one of his upsider games. He is one of two. He's one of the two people that play for the Thunder that are going to get 35-minute playing time mark or above. SGA being the other, and then basically Chet Holmgren is kind of like the third guy is going to hit the 30-minute mark. But they are a pretty deep team. They ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 deep, and that's not counting the scrub times, the couple guys that got in that played 3 minutes and 26 seconds. I'm not counting those guys, and I'm not counting Gordon Hayward's 7 minutes. So, everyone else played double-digit minutes. 9 people. So that's what I like to see. His minutes are locked in, and you kind of touched on everything else, but this guy does a little bit of everything. Um, and yeah, great play. I'll be overexposed. I'm feeling really good about the Thunder after seeing what we saw, and knowing that Luka's injured. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. That's a big deal. I mean, if Luka was normal Luka, I would not be talking the way I'm talking right now, or be as overzealous on the Thunder as I am, just because I know what it is, out there playing basketball at the level they are in the playoffs, in the second round, end of the season, and he's got this lingering knee pain. I mean, I don't see it getting any better. So, yeah, great pick. So wow, so we're both 2 for 2 here on our picks. I'll jump over to my final pick, and this should be no shock if you guys watched the podcast for game one. But my pick is Mr. Daniel Gafford. Give it up for Daniel Gafford, everybody. If you notice, his salary has gone up from 8,500 to 11,000, which is absolutely absurd. They're projecting his points for 4 fantasy points more, but you're going to bounce him up, 2,500 in salary. That's ridiculous. But that's okay. Hopefully his ownership should dissipate pretty heavily from there. This actually gives me an opportunity now. I wish I would have had the balls to play him at star now. Hindsight's 2020. I did say put him in all of your lineups, have him at utility, have him at pro. Unfortunately, I did not see, the star potential there that I should have. But in my own projections, I said he was going to get 30 plus fantasy points, and he even blew my projection out of the water and hit 45. I do not see this as just a one-time, lucky this, lucky that game. It's this matchup. I think he's going to crush in this matchup. And looking at his stats, he's only played 27 minutes, which was like third or fourth in minutes on the team. He shot 5 for 12. He didn't shoot any threes. He went 6 of 8 at the line, had 11 rebounds and 5 blocks and only 1 turnover. While they were on the floor, he had the best plus minus of anybody at -2. So if the coach needs someone else to get some minutes out there, because when Lively was out there, he was -13. I'm trying to look at some of when PJ Washington was out there, -11. So he's the one big who, when he was out there, defensive things were happening. So I could easily see coach giving him a couple, 4, 5, 6, 7 more minutes. I don't know if he didn't get those minutes because at the end, it was more or less a blowout. So that's why those minutes were not there. But imagine him with what he just did, and now getting an extra 4 or 5 minutes if this game's able to stay close. So still love this pick. I see the ownership being much less, and now you can play him at the star, the pro, or the utility. Mixing it up is always good. That's what I'll be doing for sure. So super happy. I'm going to be playing this pick pretty much to the death, for this whole series. So what are your thoughts, and who do you got here for your final pick?
Yeah, we'll make it 3 for 3. Sorry guys, freaking. That's unfortunate. We'd like to cover more players, so that just gives you guys the opportunity to put down in the comments on additional players to cover here. But my third pick is also Daniel Gafford. Even with the price increase, I do like him at the star and pro, not so much utility. He did get, like you mentioned, 27 minutes. His usage was really nice, 24.6. He did get the 44, and he's projected only 21 this matchup.
Yeah.
So my only concern, first off, I do like him because I think OKC is just a small team. So their primary big is Chet Holmgren, who he's a rookie, but he is okay at defense. But Gafford made him look pretty bad the other day. So that, and then basically their next, I guess, backup center to Holmgren is the Jay Williams, the other Williams, and he's not really stopping Gafford. So I think, like you mentioned, the matchups there, they're a small team. I mean, if you look at it, those are the I guess Chet is considered a full center, while the Jalen Williams is a power forward, / center or whatever. So the matchup is just too good. It hurts me because he's burned me so many times in the past. But like I said, I think I'm going to forget the past and just look at this matchup, and just it's too good not to. The 11K price tag does scare me a little bit, but I think he has the potential there as well, especially with Luka being how he is. Obviously, if Luka has a great game, his usage is going to go down because Luka's usage will go up if he starts hitting. But he was, last game, he was, 1% star, 1% pro, and then 37% utility. I see that being more with the salary now, anywhere from 6 to 10% star, 10 to 20% pro, and about 10 to 15% utility. So I think bumping him up into the star, hopefully he has another decent game. At least I would like to see above 35 from him. He did have 5 blocks, which helped out his fantasy production there. But I think he has the potential to score a few more points and definitely get a few more assists. He had 16 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 blocks. So I don't think he might not have another 5-block game, but I think he could have a 20-point plus game, or at least a few extra assists. As far as the minutes goes, I think that's probably where we're going to see him. Just looking back, that's where he's in the 20s. Anywhere from basically 20 to 28 minutes. There's one game in the past few months that he played over, and that was at 31 minutes in the Golden State game. So I don't see him getting any more minutes. unfortunately, which I would love for him to get that mid 30s because obviously his production, the potential for his ceiling game would be there. But I mean, he's been doing work, even with these, low to mid 20s. So hopefully he can have another 27, higher minute range. But I think it's going to depend. Do OKC come out and try to take him out of the game? But I like him, and I'm going to be riding the train until he proves me right, basically. So yeah. So with that, that was good. Unfortunately, there was obviously the same players, but that just means we're that confident that these three players should hit in this matchup. So with that, anything else to add before we go ahead and get into the lineups?
Nope. I'm that confident. If we're both on the same page like that, I can all but guarantee these three players will be in somehow, some way in the optimal lineup. Up there at the top. So
Yeah. All right.
that's how confident I am.
All right. Well, with that, please, before we get into the lineup, make sure you do hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. It does help out the channel, quite a bit. And we like to, keep growing the community. And like we did mention, we did have the same picks. It does happen sometimes. We don't discuss really. I mean, we talk about the game here and there, but we don't talk about really our key players until to the video. So that's great that they all fall on because that's reassuring that it's there. But that just gives you guys the opportunity to put players that you want extra that we didn't discuss in the comments. Be more than happy to give our opinion on those players as well. So. With that, if you are just joining us, welcome to DFS Insights. We're about to give those free lineups. So, thanks for, coming, trying to get the lineups. If you do have any, comments or you're looking at the lineups like we're crazy people, go ahead and, rewind, listen to our key player breakdown, and, you'll explain our thought process here. So with that, enough of me yapping here and get over to these lineups. Lineups looking fairly similar up in the the multiplier. So yeah, like we mentioned, our key players, and then we differ in the utility slots. So yeah, with that, stay tuned. We're going to be covering probably the bulk of these OKC Dallas matchups, and as well we have the next video after this one will be the Denver Minnesota Game 3. So looking forward to see how Denver responds there, or if they do. With that, good luck. Hope to see you up on that leaderboard.
Yes, sir. Yep. Good luck to everybody out there. Again, please put down in the comments who you guys have, because again, I know we only gave out 3 picks. So please, who do you guys got? Who's your favorite play out there? Who do you guarantee is going to be in the optimal lineup? Would love to hear it. Like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.